I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving!
What's up, loved ones? Today we got EXO-SC on deck. To explain myself a little bit, I thought I was going to be done with SM Entertainment. I thought I was going to be done with EXO because of all the drama I've had with them, going OD on copyright claims and blocks, threatening to take down my channel, and almost pushing the issue into a lawsuit. Well, a lot of y'all saw me squirming under the boot of SM Entertainment and put me on game onto how I could edit my ish a little better, and that a lot of reactors use Patreon to put videos that end up having to get trimmed or maybe even blocked on YouTube. But I'll share more details about that at the end. Let's get into it. So the two tracks we got on deck is What a Life and Closer to You. And the reason why I did two instead of just one, I'll explain at the end. I mentioned that I worked as an engineer more in the rap game than the singing game, and a lot of you put me onto EXO-SC, where they do focus more on the rap side. After a quick search, I think the first EP is called What a Life, and I see 6 tracks on the wiki page for it. We're gonna peep the What a Life single right here. It's already feeling like a summer single. Yeah, I like that chorus. The beat is smooth. The beat just screams summer single. It's got that synth sound that just makes you smile, makes you happy. It's got an 808 bass, but the bass is mixed real low, which is an interesting choice. Like most singles, the lyrics are memorable, catchy. The lyrics weren't hardcore and weren't mad lyrical. And then when the chorus hit, that's when it finally got my head nodding a little bit. hmm It's got like these Cali vibes with the aesthetics. Does anyone know where they shot this? And I'm wondering if they made a subunit of EXO, does that change what kind of creative freedom they have? Like, do they get to decide what beat they choose and how they want to rap on it? Maybe even the creative direction of the music video? Or is SM Entertainment or whoever's usually in charge of that for EXO still in charge of that for EXO-SC? That's a question on my mind right now. Yeah, with the dollar bills. Okay. I feel a breakdown coming on in the song. A part where the beat does a whole switch up. I guess not. Yeah, that was pretty sweet. Kind of a typical summer single. Very feel good, minimal beat, but the beat had an identity. Sometimes a lot of rap beats, it feels very like stock sound-esque, doesn't really have its own personality. This beat was simple, minimal, but it definitely had a personality. That feel good summer single type. Nothing really blew me out the water, but that hook was real nice to me. But I think we're gonna do a double whammy here. All right, picking a random song off the track list that I'm looking at on Wiki. I'm choosing number 3, Closer to You. Random switch up. I like that. Well, first of all, I feel like out of the last just few songs I heard from EXO, the way they mix it down, the vocals are a little bit underneath the level of the beat, whereas a lot of rap beats and a lot of popular songs in general, they have the vocals mixed a little higher than the beat. But a lot of EXO's vocals, they cut through in very technical ways while being underneath the beat. But this one is the first EXO song out of the ones I heard so far, which is just, I think, Hear Me Out, Cream Soda, and What a Life, where the vocals are mixed like on top of the beat, maybe on level a little bit, but it sounds on top of the beat because they're doing the breakbeat drum style, which is very old school, but they're not doing it the traditional way where you find a breakbeat from a sound pack or from a record and you just use the drums and let it play out and that's your breakbeat. They're still using individual drum sounds, but just playing it in the style of a breakbeat. And on top of that, they do that modern hi-hat roll. So the drum section here is like a mix of every type of way you can do drums in rap. Drum sections is different every section of the song. One thing that's consistent through most beats is the drum and bass. And if there's a switch up, it's going to be in the sounds that are surrounding that. But the drum sections are different too here. Like every switch up in the song is almost an entire switch up, but it still sounds like one cohesive beat, seamless. Those piano chops are sweet. What else? What else? All right. That was pretty sweet, man. That was such a vibe. I feel like I could see this whole EP being chill, laid back. I'm definitely intrigued. I think Closer to You is probably my favorite, but that's not because there was anything wrong with What a Life. I think What a Life was just that summer single that you gotta have for your EP. And the beat for Closer to You was much more engaging. It was a vibe. And give me 1 second to skim through this a little bit. So I'm listening to these rap sections, right? And that's a cool section because he's rapping and then doing rhythmic singing in one. It works really nice here. It kind of went over my head the first listen through, but their rap voices are pretty decently refined. I'm assuming that Korean is their first language. One thing that I heard from a lot of earlier Korean rap was the same thing I heard from a lot of earlier French rap in the language of English. When you hear rappers, a lot of times, most of the time, it's going to sound syncopated. You know, kind of like clear separations between syllables type stuff. Not all the time, but that was a big part of the identity of American hip hop. You have some smoothed out, more legato parts, but compared to how French or Korean sounded when you rapped, it was very different. There's a lot of guttural sounds in French, and there's some guttural sounds in Korean. And when you try to rap with that, it just clearly sounds like it's in a different language, which obviously because it is. But for whatever reason, when I hear them rap right here, they're speaking perfect Korean, but they have that very American English rhythmic syncopation, separation of the syllables that I didn't hear a lot in the early thousands of rap coming out of Korea. And that led me to believe that for a native-born Korean speaker, rapping in a way that would sound familiar to the American English syncopated style of rap was going to be very unnatural. But a lot of rappers out of Korea right now seem to have such a command over their consonants and vowels and delivery that they could rap so nice that sounds good to the Korean ear and to the American ear. And I know that Korean artists would never say no to breaking into the US market. In fact, from what I hear and from what I read, that is a goal for most Korean artists. So I'm not surprised that they would train their consonants and vowels in such a way. Right, so like I mentioned earlier, I think these are 2 of the 3 songs that they made music videos for, so they felt the most confident in them as far as potential to be a single. And I had nothing bad to say about them. I had a lot of good things to say about them, and I was intrigued, but nothing really got me off my seat. And it just didn't sit right with me to just put up one video of one song, which didn't really knock my socks off, didn't really get my wheels turning that much. So bada bing, I did 2. One video, and then I'll listen to all the rest, put that on the Patreon. And spoiler alert, I did end up finding a song that I love so much that I immediately added it to my personal playlists. Speaking of the Patreon, it was 100% inspired by all the amazing suggestions and support from the community. My Patreon's still a work in progress. I've never really touched the platform before, but after brainstorming for about 7 minutes, consulting with the oracles and the scientists, I think I'm gonna just do 2 tiers right now. The basic tier, 2 doubloons, that's gonna be content that often gets trimmed or blocked on YouTube. And if you want something more exclusive, like album or EP reviews, maybe we're breaking down a docuseries with some content where the entire video would get blocked on YouTube, that's gonna be in the 1 step up tier with 4 doubloons. Your support helps me continue creating and sharing content, but your support doesn't have to be Patreon. It's just you finding me, watching, liking and commenting. I'm still putting the bulk of my ish up on YouTube when no one's got to pay for it but the advertisers. The Patreon is just a little bit of exclusive content and to avoid headaches that come with copyright issues. I'm gonna go through these last 4 tracks, maybe save that for the Patreon,